Hello. Yes, am I audible now? Similarly, what about this one? Okay. Hello. I think the port has changed. Okay. Hello. Yes, am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Because I changed the port and hence I was facing the issue with the connectivity. Okay. So now it is on. Here we go. Okay. Um. Okay. No, just a second. Okay. Yes, let's start. So we are almost completed the discussion of instrumentation amplifier in the last class. We'll discuss a few applications of instrumentation amplifier, and then we'll jump to the second unit. Okay, here we go. Okay, so there are I think four applications are given. We'll quickly rush through these applications. Okay, just one more thing. So just a second, somebody's on the line. Yeah, just a moment. Sorry. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Now, last class we discussed this circuit. The instrumentation amplifier. So this in the bridge, one arm of the bridge is a transducer. It can be any transducer that we'll discuss now. Okay. It can be used for the measurement of flow, for measurement of temperature, something like that. Okay. That's used for various applications, for various physical quantity measurement. Okay. So when this resistance is such that the bridge is balanced, so output voltage will be zero, because it indicates zero. Just a second, somebody is on the line. Okay. So, so whenever the resistance of the transducer changes, okay, just a second. Okay. So whenever the resistance of the transducer changes, the bridge is unbalanced. So this difference in voltage generated by the bridge will be, will be fed to this amplifier A3 using A1 and A2. So last class we saw what is the applications of A1 and A2. They're used as a voltage failure circuit to reduce the loading effect on the transducer. Okay. So this A3 is a difference amplifier. The difference amplifier advantage is that the common mode rejection ratio, because it's very high in a op amp, so any noise in the input signal will be nullified, so that output voltage is proportional to the physical quantity which is being measured undergoes changes. Okay, so it can be measured using a calibrated meter. Okay, yeah. So here we go. So this is the basic instrumentation amplifier. So last class, we discussed all this. Okay, temperature indicator. Okay, there is the same circuit what we discussed. Now there is an instrumentation amplifier can be used as a temperature indicator. Okay, that means it is used as a indicator where whenever the temperature changes, that can be indicated using that instrumentation amplifier. That is the meter connected to instrumentation amplifier. So it is, for example, the bridge is balanced at a some reference temperature. For example, let us say 25 degree centigrade. That means for that resistance of the temperature sensor, that is thermistor. That is a thermistor is a transducer which is used to measure the temperature. So bridge is balanced at 25 degrees centigrade. So whenever the temperature varies, the bridge is unbalanced. That unbalanced condition is used to calibrate the meter to measure the temperature in degree centigrade. Okay, so that means we are using the the instrumentation amplifier not only to indicate the temperature, but it is also used to calibrate the meter with reference to a standard temperature. Okay? So that's one of the applications of the. It's not just an indication; it is also measurement of the temperature. Okay, so that's how it is. There's one numerical problem. Next is temp. Yes, I'm sorry. Temperature controller. In this temperature controller, okay, so in this temperature controller, what happens is, say, temperature indicator just indicates the temperature. That is, this meter just indicates the temperature. Okay, if this meter is replaced with a relay. Okay, so what is a relay? I don't know whether you guys have studied a relay in no in any of the course. I'm not sure. No, there is what is for high voltages. Relays are used as a switches. Okay, but these relays are controlled using small voltages. Okay, see, guys, what I'm trying to say is semiconductor switch, for example. Okay, so semiconductor switch operates in the range of voltages. Very few volts, let us say less than 5 volts. If the operating voltage range is very high in terms of, let us say, tens of volts, then relays are used. Okay, so these relays are used as a switches. These relays are used as a switches. Okay, so thereby, yes. So when the temperature rises to a very high value, um, okay. So what up? I'm sorry. What happens is that so initially, let us say the bridge is balanced. So under balanced condition, so relay will be in one of the particular state. Either it's commonly connected, there is normal open or normal connected state. One of the one standard condition. Okay, when the bridge is unbalanced, then the relay will trigger. Relay will switch. This switching of the relay in turn helps in controlling the temperature. Okay, so for example, in AC, AC applications. Okay, so temperature is constantly monitored. Whenever the temperature slightly varies, so let's say we have set it to 18 degree, for example. So for example, okay. So whenever there is a temperature variation, the resistance of the thermistor changes, bridge is unbalanced. So the relay will trigger the compressor operate the compressor in such a way that the room temperature can be controlled. Okay. So that means this instrumentation amplifier not only is used to measure or indicate, it is also used to control, but of course using additional components like, for example, relay. So there is temperature, temperature controller. Next is light intensity meter. Okay. So what is light intensity meter? Yes, in this case, yeah, instead of instead of the transducer, if a photo cell is used in this position, let us say instead of a transducer, if a photo cell is used. Okay, what is a photo cell, guys? It is a device whose resistance varies as the light intensity on the photocell increases. Okay, or varies. So resistance changes as the light intensity changes. Okay, it is used to detect the variation in the light or light in the particular environment. Okay, in the room environment, something like that. Okay, so instead of a transducer, if photocell is used, let us say, for example, in a let's say for a dark condition, okay, fully dark, for total dark condition, the bridge is selected, bridge designed. For example, that means RC, RB, RA is selected in such a way that bridge will be balanced. So that means output voltage will be 0. Okay. Now what happens is that let us say light falls on the the photocell. The bridge is unbalanced. It generates a voltage. When it generates a voltage, this voltage can be connected to another device to control operation of that particular device. Something like that. Okay. So it is a if a light falls on that, it has to do some operation. It has to control some motor or something like that. Okay. So for such applications, for detection of lights, we can go for a photocell instead of a normal transducer. Photocell is a detector anyway. It's a sensor, by the way. Okay. So that is one of the application of a what is known as a instrumentation amplifier. Yes, I mean, we can think of many applications like that. Depending on the particular requirement, we can select the transducer or sensor for the measurement of particular physical quantity. Not just detection, it is also for control. Okay, so the meter is calibrated in terms of lux. There is unit of light. Okay, um, to measure the to calibrate the instrument. Okay. Okay, next is measurement of flow and thermal conductivity. Because in this case, the this we can make use of two flow meters. So there's also called as a thermal conductivity meter. Can be constructed from the instrumentation amplifier what we discussed. In this case, two thermistors are used. Okay, one thermistor next to each other. Two thermistors are used next to each other in one of the arm of the bridge. Okay, so one of the thermistor, is sealed in a small cavity copper cylinder. Okay, one of the thermistor, small cavity copper cylinder. Another one is in a small copper pipe. Another one is in a small copper pipe. Okay, fine. So when there is no airflow through this pipe, let's say there is no airflow, the bridge is said to be balanced. Okay, so these are the other arms of the bridge. So let us say, oh sorry, I wrote bridge very bad. So let us say I'll roughly, so let us say this is other arm of the bridge, and this is the other arm of the bridge. So okay. So initially this is in a balanced condition when there is no airflow through this uh, copper pipe. Okay, bridge is balanced, so output voltage is zero. When the air is fed through this pipe, the resistance of this thermistor changes, and hence the resistance. The bridge is unbalanced. That indicates a change in the output voltage. That voltage can be used to measure the airflow. Okay, measurement of airflow. Okay, that is velocity. Okay. Sorry, airflow, not velocity. I'm sorry, it's airflow. Okay, so this meter, which is used to measure airflow, can be calibrated in terms of meter cube per second to accommodate the desired flow rate range. Okay? That is to directly read the flow of air through the copper pipe. Yes, there is a that is one of the application of the what is known as instrumentation amplifier. So for thermal conductivity measurement, two thermistors are mounted in separate small copper cylinders. So instead of, in the earlier case, it was one was sealed, one thermistor was sealed, another one was inside a copper pipe. But now for thermal conductivity, both are sealed inside a small copper cylinders. So not sealed, it is placed inside a small copper cylinders. With air in both the cylinders, the bridge can be balanced, and then the output voltage will be zero. So under balanced condition, the bridge is balanced, output voltage is zero. When air in one cylinder is replaced by a medium being tested, there is, I know there is what you call guess what is that called as um, what do you call that as insulator. Sorry. Let us say we are testing some insulator or resistance, temperature sensitivity of a any element for that matter. So that is being placed, being tested. So which has different thermal conductivity than air. Okay, that is see, normally in the earlier case the airflow was tested. Now we are testing some other element. So I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so that element is has a different thermal conductivity than the normal air. Okay, so the bridge is unbalanced. So this is because temperature of the thermistor changes and thus changing the resistance, obviously. Okay, so suppose the medium being tested is a carbon dioxide, for example. So because of its low thermal conductivity, carbon dioxide will increase the temperature of the thermistor, which will cause decrease in the thermistor's resistance. Okay, so for this thermistor, as the temperature increases, its resistance decreases. Okay, it's inversely proportional. Temperature and resistance are inversely proportional in thermistor. So carbon dioxide measurement increases, temperature increases, resistance decreases. Okay, so this decrease in resistance causes unbalance in the bridge, so which can be used to indicate the flow of carbon dioxide through the pipe. So the meter can be calibrated in terms of relative thermal conductivity. There is to measure the flow of a carbon dioxide. Yes, okay. So that's about okay. There's one more applications. Okay. In next application, there is analog weight scale. All the four arms are replaced with strain gauges. Okay. So strain gauges, okay, are placed in all the four bridge. So this is placed under a weighing scale. Weighing scale. Okay. So when this is placed under weighing scale, so when pressure is applied over this weighing scale, what happens is that two the strain gauges undergoes elongation. Okay. Two strain gauges undergoes deformation. Okay. So this will cause unbalance in the bridge, and then output voltage changes. As the output voltage changes, we can measure the force applied to the the base. That is a weighing scale. Okay, so under normal condition all the resistances are equal, so the bridge is balanced. Bridge will be balanced. Here we go. Okay, so there is some calculation. So assuming that all the resistances are equal, so we can define VAB, that is voltage across the the bridge. Okay, so under normal condition, output voltage can be measured as VDC into delta R by R. There is change in resistance due to the application of pressure. RF by R, there is a gain of the amplifier A3, last amplifier, output amplifier. Okay. Okay, so that's how it is. Fine. Yes. Okay. So that completes the what you call applications of a instrumentation amplifier. Okay. Okay. So let us quickly start close the second chapter pages also. Okay. So let's start with the second module. That is passive filters. Sorry, filters. We'll discuss both the active filters as well as passive filters. So it's no. Okay. So what is a filter? Let us look into the okay. So in the second module, we are starting with the filters. Okay, active filters, passive filters, and various filters. Okay. So this document which I already shared with you guys, this has all the textbook pages, which we refer for the second unit. Okay. Okay, yes, let us quickly jump to the topic, Yeah. So what is a filter? As the name suggests, an electric filter, that is, what is electric filter? Is made of electronic circuits, discrete components, which may be active components as well as passive components. Is often a frequency selective circuit that passes a specified band of frequencies and blocks or attenuates signal of frequencies outside this band. Okay, so what does it means is, let us say, for example, let us say, I have the signals of various frequency. Let's say, for example, low frequency and high frequency signal. High frequency signal. Okay. Now let us say low frequency. So this is the frequency range. Okay. So we are going from a low range to high range. Okay, high range. Let us say I want to limit the signal only for a particular frequency. Okay, I don't want to allow all the all the ranges of frequency to be applied to the to the circuit. I want to limit the frequency of the signal. Okay, I need to, let us say, select only this range of frequency. Okay, so let us say this is f1, a lower frequency range f1, the upper frequency range is f2. Okay, so I want to allow only between f1 and f2. Okay, and other frequency range or other frequency signals or signals with the other frequency range should be attenuated or should be filtered off. Okay, so thereby I should get something like this. The response, I should get something like this. Okay, this is the gain of the amplifier. So at lower frequency, that is up to frequency f1, the gain of the amplifier should be 0. That means output voltage should be 0. When this f1 reaches, the gain should be required, as gain is high according to our requirement. Okay, and till it reaches f2, till the frequency range f2, I should get a sufficient output voltage, that is required amount of gain. When f2 frequency range is reached, okay, and above f2, any signal whose frequency is above f2, output voltage should be 0. That means gain should be 0. If gain is equal to 0, obviously the output voltage will be equal to 0. Okay, So gain 0, output voltage will become 0. Okay, so if you see this only the red line, guys, this red plot, the plot in red color. So we get a filter characteristics where the gain will be 0 for a particular range of frequency, and gain will be high for another particular range of frequency. Okay, so this is what is called as a filters. These are called as filters. Okay, so these filters can be implemented using various components. So based on that, we can classify the filters using various terminology. Let us look into that. Okay. So in this case, guys, what we can call the frequency less than f1 and frequency greater than f2 as unwanted frequencies. So they are unwanted frequencies. We need to filter off. We need to filter off those unwanted frequencies. Filter off the unwanted frequencies. Okay, this is very simple, So we need to block unwanted frequencies or attenuate. Attenuate means, what is the meaning of attenuation is this gain should to be 0 for frequency less than f2 and should be equal to 0 for frequency greater than f2. Attenuated. Attenuated means gain is reduced to 0. That is the meaning of a attenuation. Okay, so classification of filter phase, there are different way of classification, as I just now said. It can be analog or digital. That means we can implement the filters, using only analog components, that is, resistors and capacitors. Using digital method also we can, we can implement, that is using, microcontrollers. We can implement what is known as a, digital filters. Another classification is what is known as passive component, passive filter and a active filter. What is passive filter and a? If the filter is made of transistors, which is semiconductor device, it is called as a active filter because transistor is a active element. Okay. If the transistor is made of only the resistors and capacitors, so then the filter is called as a passive filter. Then the filter is called as a passive filter. The semiconductor devices used, then the filter is called as a, sorry, I'm showing ulta, the arrow marks is showing for the wrong components. Okay, so, resistor and capacitor, it is a passive filter, and the semiconductor device used in the filter, then it's called as a active filter. Then it's called as a active filter. Okay, so depending on the range of the frequency, we can classify the filter as a audio frequency range filter, or what is known as a radio frequency range filter. Okay, so audio frequency, there is the audible range, that is 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. There is human reception capability is anywhere from 20 hertz to around 20 kilohertz. Okay, so the filter can be in this range or above this range. That is called as a radio frequency filter. Okay. Yeah, so let the same thing is explained here. So I'll look for some important statements or keywords. So analog filters are designed to process analog signals. Okay, well, digital filters process analog signals using say digital filters. What happens is, it makes use of what is known as a what you call digital component, like for example microcontrollers, or DSP processor in general. Okay, so this microprocessor or microcontroller or DSP processor receives only digital input. There is zeros and ones, binary inputs. Okay, but as we have understood in the beginning that all the real world signals are analog in nature. Okay, so what we have to do is these analog signals has to be converted into digital signal using ADC, analog to digital converter. We are going to study the various types of ADC in our course. Okay, and the output of this device, is a a digital filter is a is a digital in nature, that is zeros and ones. So this again has to be converted into analog signals using what is known as a D2A, digital to analog converters. Digital to analog converters. But if you make use of only what you call digital analog filters, we don't require this ADC and DSC, because straight away it can handle the analog signals. It doesn't require any what you call converters. That's what it is. Okay, so I'm sorry. Okay, please just a second. I mean, I need to take the attendance 64 is the strength. 64 including me. Okay. I think I'll check whether this has no generated the snap, because somebody must have left in between. Maybe it happens. Okay, it's okay. No issues. Around 64. Okay. So oh, now it's 65. Yeah. Okay. So then so I need to take one more screenshot. Okay. Okay. Yes. Now. Sorry. So for analog, that is the difference between what is known as a analog filters and a digital filters. So depending on the type of elements used in their constructions, filter may be classified as active or passive. As I said, if it is made of transistors, it is active. If it is made of only resistance and capacitance, passive. So elements used in passive filters are resistor, capacitors, and inductors also. Sorry, I forgot to mention inductors. Active filters employ transistors or op amps in addition to these components, resistor, capacitor, and inductor. Because transistors and op amps alone, they are semiconductor devices. It cannot be used as a filter as it is, but it is always advantageous to employ a transistor and a op amps, in filter applications, because they have their own advantage. They provide very high gain. They provide impedance matching. They provide noise cancellation. There is a lot of advantages of using active elements. Okay. So the type of elements used indicate the operating frequency range of the filters. Okay, so that will decide the operating frequency range. So RC filters are commonly used as a used for audio or low frequency operations. There is RC, RC. There is anywhere between 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. That is audio frequency range, 20 kilohertz. Okay. Whereas for higher frequencies, LCs are used. LC filters are used. Okay. Or crystal filters are employed at radio frequency range or above that. Okay. So especially because of their why? Because of the Q value of the LNC component. Because in RC there is there is no much effect of Q component, whereas when LC components are used, so Q, figure of merit of a coil matters. So that parameter will affect the filtering operation. Okay, so the crystals provide more stable operation at a okay. Crystal techniques of method crystal filters are effective at and they are more stable at a higher frequency operation. Okay, so okay, fine. RC active RC in the first unit. Okay, so in audio frequency range, frequencies indicators are often okay. So what this point says is we have discussed RC only analog filters in the earlier chapter of this textbook. So RC in audio frequency range, inductors are often not used because they are very large, costly, and may dissipate more power. Okay, that's a disadvantage of inductors in a low frequency range. That is audio frequency range. Okay, so it also has a magnetic field effect. So inductors. So that's why it is avoided in low frequency range. Okay. So, what are the advantages of active filters then compared to passive filters? First advantage is gain and frequency adjustment flexibility. Okay, as I said, whenever we have a semiconductor device, like a transistor or op amp, okay, so we can adjust the gain of the signal, gain of the amplifier. So thereby we can obtain the adjustable gain, and frequency can also be adjusted. Frequency can also be frequency of operation of the op amp or transistor can be adjusted so that we can accommodate the transistors or op amps in a particular circuit for a particular range of frequency. So gain adjustment, the input signal is not attenuated as it is in a okay. So the advantage of op amp is because of the very high gain. In some in RC filter, for example, let's say we make use of only RNC components, for example. So what happens is that when the input is applied to this RNC circuit, okay, some of the signal is attenuated because of the impedance of the circuit. That will not be the case when op amp is used because it has a very high input impedance. Okay, so signal is not attenuated. In addition, the active filter is easier to tune and adjust. Active filters because we can adjust the frequency and gain of the op-amps and transistors, it is easy to operate the filters. No loading issues because high input impedance of the transistors or op-amp and low output resistance. The active filter does not cause any loading effect on the source or the load. So this is what I was talking, loading effect. Okay, so there will not be any issue of a loading effect, because when we consider the op-amp, so input impedance RA is very large. As we have understood in the earlier cases, earlier discussions, input impedance ideally infinity. Okay, and output impedance is ideally zero. Ideally zero. So this is a good what you call impedance matching. So let us say, for example, this is the source. Okay, so this op amp does not has any loading effect on the source, and the output is connected to, let us say, meter or another next stage of the circuit. Okay, so this will not have any effect on the either on the other circuit. Okay, so thereby it provides a good impedance. See, observe the impedance variation is, if you observe this impedance, the impedance goes from very high to very low value in case of a op amp. So there, okay, let us say this is another op amp circuit, for example. Okay, a multi-stage op amp circuit. What about this one, guys? Here also the impedance is very high at the input stage and very low at the output stage. Okay, so this provides a kind of a impedance matching, where the loading effect on the source as well as the receiving circuit can be avoided. That is the basic advantage of using a op amps, especially op amps, because it has advantage over the transistors. Cost. Active filters are more economical than passive filters. This is because of the variety of cheaper op amps and absence of inductors. Okay, so these op amps, if you see the op amps rate in the market, because of the mass production, because it's available in the form of IC. Okay, and these ICs, when they're manufactured at a larger scale, the price of the IC goes down. So thereby it becomes a affordable. So the price is more affordable, and no inductors will make filters happy, because what you call, the weight of the filters will be low, and it will be cheaper also because of the non-usage of inductors. Active filters are most effectively used in field of communications and signal processing. They are employed in one form or the other in almost all sophisticated alpha. Guys, you take any you know most electronic devices, where audio frequency ranges or radio frequency ranges are used. There are what is known as filters employed. For example, in case of radio, television, telephone, radar, space satellites, okay, biomedical equipments, okay, or all this employs what is known as active filters. So filter is a must, because without filter, for example, a simple example, radio, we tune into particular frequency. I don't listen to radio, so I don't know the frequencies. 91.3, so that is one station, I think earlier I used to listen 91.3. I'm not sure. Okay, so frequency. See, we are selecting a particular frequency. When this frequency is selected, other frequency ranges are attenuated. So lesser frequencies and higher frequency ranges are attenuated. So it's nothing but a filter. Okay, that's all it is. Okay. So frequency of operations, matters. So guys, in this case, communication also, filtering is a must. Good example for communication is noise cancellation. In all our nowadays in mobile devices and in communication devices, there is a noise cancellation techniques. So what is a noise cancellation technique? Noise signals are always high frequency signals. Okay, so low pass filter is used. Low pass filter means it will allow only low frequency signals, and it will block high frequency signals, which are nothing but the noise signals. In all your Bluetooth device, you have what is known as a noise cancellation property. Okay, that is called as SNR, signal to noise ratio. Okay, so signal to noise ratio should be very, very large. Larger this ratio, better is the noise cancellation property. So we use all this in our electronic devices. Okay, anyway, the most commonly used filters. Okay, so what are the ranges? See, it's like a range of frequency, which is attenuated by the filter. Low pass filter, okay, it will allow only low frequency range, and it will block the high frequency signals. High pass filter, something like this, it will allow high frequency signals and blocks low frequency signals. Band pass filter, it will pass only the range of frequencies, and it will block the other frequency ranges. Band reject filter, okay, it will reject only a part of the frequency. It will reject only part of frequency range, and it will allow other frequency ranges, other frequency signals. All pass filter, it will allow a signal of all frequency ranges, from 0 to maximum frequency, which can be operated by the operational amplifiers. Okay, here we go. Okay, so each of these filters, use an op amp. So because op amp has an advantage over BJT transistors, so op amp is used in most of the active filters. So active element, as an active element, resistors and capacitors are used as a passive element, because, as I said, only op amp is of no use. I mean, it will amplify the signal. That's fine. Amplifier, it may attenuate. It cannot limit the signal. It cannot be it cannot be a filter as it is. Okay, so for filtering purpose, we have to go for a resistor and capacitor as a passive elements. So 7141 type of op amp works satisfactorily in these filter circuits. So for high speed op amps, LM318 or ICL 8017 improve the filter performance through increased slew rates and higher unity gain bandwidths. Okay, yes, we have discussed slew rate. Higher the slew rate, better is the frequency response of an op amp. Higher the unity gain bandwidth, that means op amp bandwidth range is very, very high. Okay, so that means for a higher frequency signal, we can go for a LM318. For medium frequency range, we can manage with 741 op amps. Okay, 7.1 figure shows all the what you call filter responses. Let us quickly look into that. Yeah, this one, it is the figure number 741 sorry, again. Okay, this is what is known as a low pass filter. Okay, low pass filter. So what is low pass? As the name suggests, it will allow only low frequency signals. Okay, up to frequency FH. Okay, up to frequency FH. Okay, it will allow high frequency H for high frequency range. Okay, it will allow the signal of this frequency range. Signal of high frequency range above FH, it will be blocked. So that's why it is called as the low frequency is called as a pass band, low frequency range, pass band range. Higher frequency range, it is called as a stop band range. Ideally, if you see this diagram, what the author is trying to say is, ideally the response should have been like this. But practically not possible, because of the passive components, and in fact, even op amp is not a fully linear element, even op amp to be blamed. So this is not possible. But as the frequency increases, this is the gain gradually decreases. Okay, it should decrease suddenly to 0. Say for example, gain is very high. In this case, for example, 1 is taken, but if the gain is very high, it cannot go from very high gain to 0 in a 0 time. Not possible. Okay, it gradually decreases as the frequency increases, gradually decreases. Okay? This is what is called as a low pass filter. Similarly, we have what is known as a high pass filter. In high pass filter, the frequency is less than lower frequency range is stopped, and the frequency is higher than lower frequency range will be allowed by the filter. Okay, so what happens is that ideally, again, this is the situation. Ideally this should have happened. I'll take some other color, green color. This should have happened, something like this should have happened, but practically not possible. It cannot go from 0 gain to very high gain immediately in 0 time. Not possible. As the frequency increases, gain gradually increases and reaches a maximum value. Okay, so that's how it operates. This is called as a high frequency filter. Okay, so this is for band pass filter. In a band pass, it is also called as a pass band. In some textbook you may find the pass band is used. No problem. Okay, so it will allow between the frequencies FH, FL, and FH. Okay, and lesser than frequency less than FL and frequency greater than FH are attenuated by the filter circuit. Okay, so there is what is known as a center frequency. What is this center frequency? Because ideally, again, just like other filters, it should have been like this. Ideally, ideally, In ideal world, if something like this should have happened, but not possible. This is not possible. So the what happens to the gain is, it as the frequency increases, so the gain gradually increases. Okay, and it reaches some peak point, and it starts decreasing. But if you take the 3 dB down, in this circuit, okay, if you take 3 dB down, 3 dB down, okay, and if you, when you write a somewhere here 0.7 or 7, when you write an horizontal line on 3 dB down, we get what is known as a FC and FH. Okay, so this can be taken as a bandwidth of the pass band filter. Okay, so this is pass band filter. Band stop filter, in band stop filter, the something like a complement of pass band filter. Okay, so it will block frequencies from in the range of FL to FH, but it will allow frequencies less than FL and greater than FH. So frequency less than FL, the filter will pass the signal. And if the frequency is greater than FH also, the filter will pass the the signals. Okay. Ideally, again, this is the situation. Should have been like this ideally, but practically not possible. Practically, it's not possible. Okay, so these are the, okay, so one more filter is known as all pass filter. All pass filter, there is no question of filtering, but the only thing is there will be what is known as a phase shift in the signal, because we know that op amp provides some phase shift, and this RNC combination also introduces phase shift. Okay, so they are used as a, they can be used as a phase lag and phase limiter. So there will be a phase shift, but signals are allowed. But what is the maximum frequency it can allow? That depends on the frequency of operation of the op amp circuit. Frequency of operation of the, because so let's say for example 741, in the earlier class we have understood, for a 741 op amp, the op amp can allow the frequency up to 1 megahertz range. 1 megahertz range. That means the signal can vary from 0 hertz to maximum of 1 megahertz. 1 megahertz. If your frequency is greater than 1 megahertz, the op amp gain gradually reduces. That means op amp itself acts as a filter for a frequency less greater than 1 megahertz. Okay, but the filter can be used from anywhere from 0 hertz to 1 megahertz range. It can be improved with additional components, but we are not discussing as part of our course, because our course is mainly deals with the applications of the op amps, which we started in the first unit only. In the first unit only, in the second part of the first unit, we started with the discussion of the what you call applications of op amps. Okay, so so these are the characteristics, response of a various filters, various order filters. Okay, frequency response of 5 times. So ideal response by dashed curves. Okay, okay, fine. So low pass filter 0 hertz to FH. Okay, guys, all this we discussed. So FH gain is down by FH. How do we find FH? By 3 dB down, because at 3 dB the energy reduces to 50%. That we have understood in our ADC course. Okay, these are the frequency range. Fine. Okay, so this is what we discussed now. So in the what else? Any other important point we have to look into? So ideal filter 0. Okay, unfortunately ideal filter not practical, because filter cannot produce the discontinuity. Okay. Okay. So discontinuity is not possible. So and then ideal op amp ideal filter is not possible. Possible to obtain practical result. Okay. Okay. This next is okay. So what are the names of these filters? What are the different filters we employ? So they are called as Butterworth, Chebyshev, and Core filters. Some of the commonly used practical filters that approximate the ideal response. Okay, so our ultimate goal is to implement a design ideal filter. Okay, so for that we go for these kind of filters. So the key characteristics of filter is that it has a flat band, flat pass band as well as stop band. Okay, that means see, observe this. This for example low pass filter. Okay, I have to go to low pass filter. Okay, so this Butterworth filter advantage is that it has a flat band response. Okay, that means for a given frequency range, the response is constant. The frequency gain is constant for a range of frequencies. Okay, so that's the advantage of Butterworth filter. So in that's why in this textbook we discuss only the Butterworth filter. Okay. So for this reason, it's sometimes called as a flat filter. There is a Butterworth filter. Butterworth filter is also called as a flat filter because it gives a flat response. On the whereas the Chebyshev filter has a ripple pass band and flat stop band. Okay, while the Core filter has a ripple pass band and ripple stop band. Okay, so what is ripple? No, I'll tell you. I'll explain this. Okay, so I think the okay, it is not shown. Guys, it's something like this. Okay, for example, in a Chebyshev filter, what happens? See, this is the Butterworth filter response. Actually, what it is shown here in Chebyshev filter, for example, what happens is that it will ripple. See, it may be flat for a particular range, but when the frequency becomes very higher, okay, so the gain increases and then decreases. Okay, so this is what is known as a ripple response, ripple nature in the variation of the gain of the filter. Okay, so for example, say similarly in high pass filter, low pass filter, high pass filter, it may be something like this, the response. Okay, so that is the ripple in the response in a Chebyshev filter. So this can happen for both the pass band, flat band response as well as stop band response in case of a cover filters. Okay. So because of that, Butterworth filters are commonly employed. Okay. Yeah. So because of their simplicity of design, the low pass and high pass Butterworth filters are discussed. Okay. Okay. So we'll concentrate more on Butterworth filter. Okay, so it's the same thing, filter ranges are explained, what we discussed just now. Okay, in this paragraph only that is explained. Let us not discuss that again. Okay, all pass filter. So this paragraph all pass filter is explained. Okay, the highest frequency up to which the input output amplitudes remain equal is dependent on the unity gain bandwidth of the op amp. Okay, so at this frequency, however, the phase shift between the input and output is maximum. Okay, fine. That also we'll discuss. No problem. Okay. Okay, just a second. It is okay. Okay. Okay, so let us first discuss filter characteristics, especially stop band range. Okay, the actual response curves of the filters in the stop band range either steadily decrease or increases, or both increase and decrease in frequency. The rate at which the gain of the filter changes in the stop band range determines the order of the filter. This order of the filter means how better is the attenuation of the gain as the frequency varies. Okay, for example, okay, if the attenuation is around 20 dB per decade, okay, this I'll explain like this. Yeah. So what the author is trying to say. So this is the, guess what we have discussed various types of filters. Active filters, passive filters, analog filter, digital filter. Okay, audio frequency range filter, radio frequency range filters. Okay, in that we found that Butterworth filter gives a better response. Okay, so when Butterworth filter is considered for a low pass filter, for example low pass filter. Okay, so this is the gain and this is the frequency. So generally what will happen is it is something like this. This is ideal one. But practically what happens is, this is the practical case. Why it is practical, I mean why this is like this in practical, that also we discussed. Okay, so this is FH, higher frequency range FH. Okay, that means in low pass filter the signal from 0 to FH is allowed. The signal above FH will be attenuated. Okay, attenuation means the gain will reduce, and when it becomes 0, that means any gain is 0. Any frequency above this range FH is not allowed because the output voltage will be 0. Gain 0 means output voltage is 0. Very simple. Output voltage is 0. Okay. The rate at which the gain reduces, based on that, we can have various order of filters. First order filter, okay, and let us say second order filter, okay, and let us say for example third order filters. Okay, what is this order of the filter? Okay, this order of the filter indicates Okay, yes, sir, 2 more minutes. It's already 10:55. I'll take 2 or 3 minutes, guys, maximum. Okay. Okay. So what is the order of the filter? If this decrease, or for example, let us say you can consider this high pass filter also. For example, let us understand with respect to that also, because high pass filter, what happens is ideally it should be like this, but practically what happens? Practically it will be something like this. Okay, in a high pass filter, in a high pass filter. Okay, so thereby either in a high pass filter or a low pass filter, okay, the gain decreases. For example, in low pass filter, the gain decreases at a rate of 20 dB per decade. 20 dB per decade. Okay, decade. Okay, so what is 20 dB? Guess that means gain. Gain is measured in terms of decibel. Decade means 10 times variation in the frequency. Guess you must have seen that a similar graph. In the similar graph, you could see that the this x-axis is used to measure the frequency. Okay, so from one point to another point, the frequency changes by 10 times. For example, if this is 1 hertz, this becomes 10 hertz. Okay, 10 hertz. Okay, so this one range is called as a decade. This is called as a decade. Okay, so that means if the gain reduces at a rate of 20 dB, there is 20 times decrease in the gain. Okay, for example, it is a 40 dB to 40 dB to 20 dB, for example. Okay, 20 dB for a 10 times variation in the frequency, 10 times variation in the frequency. That is called as a first order filter. That is called as a first order filter. Okay, since in a low pass filter the gain reduces, we represent it as minus 20 dB per decade. In a higher frequency, in a high pass filter, what happens is that the gain will increase at a rate of plus 20 dB per decade. Plus 20 dB per decade. Per decade. Why plus 20? Because why plus? Because it is increasing. The gain is increasing as the frequency increases. Okay. So this is what is called as a first order filter. If the gain reduces at a rate of minus 40 dB per decade, there is gain reduces at a rate of minus 40 dB per decade for a low pass filter, or it increases at a rate of plus 40 dB per decade in a high pass filter, it is called as a second order filter. It is called as a second order filter. Similarly, third order filter, I guess you can, of course, you can guess, if the change in frequency is, let us say, for example, minus 60 dB per decade in low pass filter, or plus 60 dB per decade in high pass filter, that is called as a third order filter. There is fourth order filter also, whose gain varies at a rate of plus or minus 80 dB per decade. Plus for high pass filter, minus for low pass filter. Okay, so based on that, we can have first order filter 20 dB per decade, second order filter, second order 40 dB per decade. Similarly, we have third order and fourth order. I think the other is not specified. Okay, anyway, so these are the other classification of filter. There is first order filter, second order filters, and similarly we can achieve higher order filters. Okay, yes, in the next class we'll start discussing from the first order filters, and we'll find out how does the gain varies as the the frequency changes. That we'll discuss in the next class. Let's hold on a second. In case of, okay, no issues. Okay, yeah, fine, guys, fine. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Stay home, stay safe. Take care. Bye. Bye. Stop recording.